What's going on, all my beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Silly Strategics. And on this episode today, we're going to talk about something that plagues the gun world, the gun culture. 5 mistakes that people make when they purchase a firearm. And now I'm not just talking about beginners or somebody who just bought their first firearm. I'm talking about even people I know that's been shooting and have guns for years. They still make these mistakes. That is today's episode. All right, man, so jumping right into it, man, let's talk about 5 mistakes that I see people constantly make when purchasing a firearm in today's culture, man. Mistake number 1, purchasing the wrong firearms. Purchasing the wrong gun for the wrong purpose or the wrong task or the wrong reason or for the wrong whatever. Purchasing the wrong gun for the wrong reason or for the wrong purpose. And what I mean by that is, I see people go to buy their first concealed carry firearm, right? They're either getting the information from either, people like myself online, or they read the magazines, or like they're in online groups, gun groups, and you see people talk about a firearm and they're hyping it up and they're all excited about this firearm. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if you're gonna go off of what other people are saying about a firearm, you have to kind of go to the store or do your research yourself and try to figure out if this gun is right for you, because Billy Bob and Joe and Kevin online might love it, but then you get it and then you're like, I freaking hate this gun. What's all that hype about this gun? I don't understand what everybody loves about this gun, but I hate this freaking gun. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make. And to elaborate more about what I mean by the people buy the gun for the wrong purpose or to buy the wrong gun for the wrong task and the wrong purpose is, for example, let's say you're new to guns and you want to start concealed carrying a firearm. The 2 mistakes that I see people make when they purchase a firearm is mistake number 1, they either buy a gun that's too big, meaning when you try to conceal carry it, it's big, it's bulky, it's hard to conceal carry, and it's uncomfortable, and then they end up not carrying it anyways, and then they end up buying another firearm. The second mistake that people make when they make a mistake buying the wrong gun is they either buy a gun that's too small. Yes, it conceals carry nice. Yes, it's super cute and it looks super awesome and oh my God, it's so cute. But then you try to shoot this thing on the range, you take it to the range and you try to shoot it and you can't hit the broadside of a barn. As these country guys like to say online, you can't hit the broadside of a barn, because the gun is too small and it's too snappy and it's uncomfortable to shoot and you're not accurate and you're all over the place and your target look like you just hit it with a bird shot. So if you're going to buy a firearm for concealed carry, you have to know what size is the perfect size for you, because you don't want to get a firearm that's too big, but then you don't want to get a firearm that's too small. So you have to find that happy medium when it comes to purchasing your firearms. And that is the number 1 mistake I see people make when purchasing firearms. Whether it's your first firearm or even veteran people that's been shooting guns or been around guns their whole life, they still don't understand that there's an art to carrying a firearm, and you have to find a firearm that's going to be right for you. Because for me, I love the size of the Glock 19s. That's like the perfect size for me. It's not too small, it's not too big, it's just right. You know what I'm saying? Pause. But that's why I love the Glock 19 size. If you notice, most of my guns are around the same size. My Glock 19, my Glock 23, which is the identical dimensions of the Glock 19, is just in 40 cal. My Staccato, which is the same basically dimensions of a Glock 19, and those are my favorite guns. So a lot of my guns that I'm gonna buy are gonna be kind of like the Glock 19 size firearms, because that's the perfect size for me. So that's mistake number 1 that I see people make, is they purchased the wrong firearm for the wrong task, or they purchased the wrong size firearm for the wrong task and purpose that they're buying a firearm for. So once you figure that out, you're going to be happy with your purchase, and you won't have to buy a million guns just to find the right one for you. Mistake number 2, the second mistake that I see people make when they're purchasing firearms, especially if it's their first firearm, is they purchase cheap red dots that's not reliable. And I get it. I understand the logic. I understand why people do this. I'm not dogging you. I'm not talking trash. I understand why you do this. If you're that person, you go out and you spend anywhere from $500 to $800 for a firearm to conceal carry, and you love this firearm, and now you're seeing, okay, everybody's saying red dot is all the craze, and I'm a big advocate for red dots because I feel red dots is just one less thing you have to worry about, and it's literally just point and shoot, put the dot on the target, superimpose the dot on the target, and take that shot. So I'm a big advocate for red dots. I love red dots. I think everybody should, yes, practice shooting iron sights. When you first get a gun, before you put a red dot, go out and practice and shoot iron sights to get familiar with the iron sight. So in case when you do get a red dot, your red dot fails, your battery dies because you haven't changed the battery in 2 years, and randomly one day your battery dies, and now you pull that gun out and you don't see a dot, and you still have to use your iron sights. You know what I'm saying? So practice using your iron sights and then go on and purchase a red dot. I'm not saying buy a gun, never shoot iron sights, and then just buy a red dot and then you never shoot your iron sights. Now, like I said, you're in that situation, you need your gun for self-defense, you pull it out, your red dot die, and now you never shot iron sights, and now you're all over the place. But I digress. Back to the point. People purchase cheap red dots after they purchase a firearm, and that's a big mistake that people make, because yes, I get it, you know, you spend, like I said, $500 to $800 on a firearm to conceal carry, for personal carry, for home defense, and now you have to spend another couple $100s on a red dot just so you can shoot it. So a lot of people that want to get into the red dot realm, but they just don't want to spend that red dot money, because to get a nice decent red dot, you're gonna spend anywhere from $300, $600, $700, some $800 red dots out there. And a lot of people are like, I already spent, let's say the high end, I already spent $800 on this firearm. Now I gotta spend another $600 to $700 on a red dot just so I can shoot it. So a lot of people are gonna be like, no, I'm not spending that money. So what they do is they end up going online on Amazon, most likely. And I'm not dogging Amazon, because so I'm gonna get back to the Amazon purchasing stuff at the end of the video. But they go on Amazon and they see a red dot with a laser. They have a blue laser, green laser, red laser, yellow laser, and it's a flashlight, and it does all these cool fancy things. So they go out and they go to Amazon, and then they see all these red dots, you know, for $80, $90, $120, and they're like, it's a red dot, it works, it's a glass, it's a red dot, it does the exact same thing as a Trijicon, it does the exact same thing as the Leopold, it does the exact same thing as my Holosun. So yeah, it's a red dot. I'm gonna go out and spend $80. $80 is decent for a red dot. I just spent $800 on my firearm. I'm gonna spend $80 on those red dot because it's a red dot and it works. And then you get that cheap red dot from Amazon and you take it to the range, and then you realize that you can't zero. You can't zero because it's not holding zero. You're shooting all over the place. And then you're like, what the hell is going on? And then you get this red dot, and let's say you do get a red dot and it zeros, and now you're shooting and everything's cool. Then the next time you go back to the range, you try to shoot and you're all over the place, and you're like, what the hell? Your red dot lost to zero. That's what happens when you buy cheap red dots. The technology that's inside the red dots, like if you get those cheap, and I don't want to say Chinese red dots, because Holosun and there's a couple of the big brands who factories get some parts from China. But anyways, I'm not trying to get into that debate. But a lot of those cheaper brands, the technology and the equipment and the materials that they use is just not to par. Yeah, they might last a little bit. They might be good for airsoft guns, and that's another thing. A lot of those cheap red dots are made for airsoft. They're not made for real guns. So that's what you need to understand, is that even though you purchase an $80 red dot and it says there it's a red dot, you gotta make sure that it's not for airsoft. So you buy that cheap red dot for $80 off of Amazon, you put it on your pistol. Yeah, you got zero the first day, but then when you try to go out to shoot, it's all over the place, or it doesn't turn on, or every time you take a shot the red dot turns off and you're trying to turn it back on, and every time you take a shot it turns off or starts flickering and the dot's going all over the place, and you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and then people get turned off of red dots. So anyways, that's a whole different discussion. But mistake number 2, people go out and buy cheap red dots because it's affordable, and they already spent a couple $100s on a gun. They don't want to have to buy a couple $100s on a sighting system just to be accurate. So that's one mistake that people make. And all I'm going to tell you is, buy once, cry once. So instead of going out and buying the first cheap $80 red dot that you find online, just save up, man. Save up a couple checks, go to the range, practice shooting iron sights, save up a couple $50 here from this check, $20 here, save up 30, whatever you can afford to save up. Just put that on the side and put it in your red dot fund, man. Put that money in your red dot fund and save up for a decent red dot. You don't have to go out and buy a $600-700 Trijicon right off the top. But if you want to wait and you want to save up, and if you can wait to get that, then you do that. Then save up to get you a Trijicon. Save up to get you, you know. But I'm not going to say go ahead and spend $700 on a Trijicon, but you can save up $300-400 for like a Holosun. There's a bunch of Holosuns on the market that is dope. I have one Holosun. Yeah, I just have one Holosun, but Holosuns are dope. I have different red dots. I mostly have Trijicons. I have 3 of my pistol, have Trijicons, RMRs, and my Liverpool, and a Holosun, and you know, I got a Swamp Fox. My wife, she wanted that Swamp Fox, and then I got an RMSC on here. So you don't have to go out and spend $700 on a Trijicon. So if a Holosun is going to work for you, then go out and get your Holosun. Like I said, there's a couple other red dot companies that I would vouch for, such as Swamp Fox and RMSCs. And you know, those are just companies that I know that they're going to last. And the reason I know they're going to last and they're good is because some gun stores or some gun FFLs, they sell those, especially those micro pistols with those RMRs on it. So if it comes from the company with the RMR on there, if it's a Swamp Fox or whatever RMR it is, obviously it's a legit red dot. They're not going to put no trash red dots on their guns. You know, Glock is not going to sell a gun with a cheap ass red dot that's not going to work. So if they selling it with that red dot, obviously that company works and Glock trusts that company. But anyways, save up, get you a decent red dot, a Holosun, Swamp Fox. There's a RMSCs. Oh, am I saying it right? I feel like I'm not saying it right. What is it? The RMSCs, right? Yeah, RMSC. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure. I felt like I was saying it wrong. But yeah, the RMSCs. So, and I bought that, when I bought that pistol, it came with the RMSC. Like, you know what I'm saying? I had to install it, but it came with it as part of a package deal from the company. So save up and get you a decent red dot. Save up at least $300-400, at least, at the minimum. $300-400 and get you a decent red dot. You can find a good red dot for $300-400. That's the least that I would tell you to spend on a red dot. If you find them on sale, on the other hand, there's a lot of sales out there. You can get a $300 red dot for $150. So I'm not saying you have to spend $300-400 on a red dot, because there's a lot of sales. I catch a lot of sales. A lot of the stuff that I get, I catch them on sale, and I'm like, hey, I had to get it. I couldn't pass it up. The deal was too good. I couldn't pass up. And make sure you buy your red dots from reputable companies, man. I'm gonna swing back around to this buying from Amazon topic, man. I don't want to make this too long, but I'm gonna swing back around and save that for the end in case you guys don't want to hear my rant. But anyways, the mistake number 2 that people make all the time is they buy cheap red dots for the guns after the purchase of firearms. Don't make that mistake, man. All right, the third mistake that a lot of people make after they purchase a firearm, whether you're a beginner or you're not, say you have some experience with guns, is they go out and buy cheap lights. This is like a touchy subject for me, because yes, there are companies that make inexpensive lights. I don't want to say cheap. I'm trying to use my words like cautiously. There's a lot of companies out there that make affordable lights for your firearms, right? Especially rifles and shotguns and stuff. There's a lot of companies that make affordable lights, meaning, when I say affordable, meaning under $200 for a light, right? The mistake that people make is, like I said, once again, they go on Amazon and they see these lights and they have lasers, and they have, you have a red laser, blue laser, yellow laser, green laser, and it looks super cool. And you go out and you spend that money, you spend $70, $80, $60 for a light, a weapon mounted light, for whether it's a rifle, whether it's your pistol, and then it looks cool and it has all these features, and then it looks all dope, and you're like, yeah, I got a laser, look, I got this, look, I got that. And then you take it out to go shoot. and the thing is, I know about, I would say about, I don't know, I'm just gonna make up a number. I would say about 50 to 40% of the gun owners in America actually go out and train with their guns. I would say 50, I would say, like, a matter of fact, I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna say about 30 to 40%. I believe 30% of gun owners in America actually go out and train and shoot. And what I mean train and shoot, I don't mean just go to the range in the middle of the day and shoot a bunch of rounds. I'm talking about actually train, going to legit formal classes, going to handgun classes, rifle classes, night shooting, you know, like, you know, different type of tactical shooting. I would say 30 to 40% of gun owners actually do this. So the rest of the percentage of those people, they don't train really. They don't really go out and train. They don't do night courses. They don't do night shooting with their guns. So they don't know. So they buy this cheap light and it looks cool, and you know, it works cool in your house when you know it, just you take it out your safe and you check your light and it works and the laser works and everything, but they don't actually go out and train and shoot with it. If you actually take a lot of those cheap lights to a training course, you're gonna see real quick why you shouldn't waste your time with those cheap lights. But if it's just save queen, you got it for home defense, that the chances you actually using that light might be next to none, then okay, I get it. That's why this is a touchy subject, because not everybody needs to go out and buy a $5 or $300 to $600 weapon mounted light. Not everybody need that. If you're a true gunny, you know what I'm saying, if you're a true gunner out there and you shoot and you take this stuff seriously, and you train and you do tactical courses, you do rifle courses, you do night courses, you do all this. If you're a real avid shooter, if you truly train, then yes, it makes sense to go out and get those $400 to $700 weapon mounted lights on your weapons. But I get it, the average person and is not going to be comfortable spending $300, $400, $500, $600 on a weapon mounted light when there's a bunch of lights on Amazon under $100. So I get it. If you don't actually go out and train and shoot, then whatever works for you, man. If the cheap Amazon light works for you, then cool. But if you are using a gun seriously, whether it's duty, whether you train for real, whether you do competitions, whatever you do, but you want an actual light that's going to be reliable and you know it's going to work every time you press that button, click that button to turn it on, then go out and get you a good, decent light. But a mistake that a lot of people make is they want to get into shooting, they want to do competitions, they want to train, but they don't want to spend that money, and then they take those cheap lights to those rifle courses or those pistol courses, and then they see that their light is garbage, and then that's when that light clicks like cling. Now I know why these dudes spend $300, $400, $500, $600 on a weapon mounted light. But that's one of the mistakes a lot of people make, man. They go out and buy those cheap fancy lights that change laser. You can get a red laser, green laser, blue laser, yellow laser. Everybody gets a laser color that they choose, man. And then they expect those lights to work in a real world situation. And like I said, it's a touchy topic when it comes to lights, because I understand why. Hell, on my shotgun, I bought a cheap, it was like $100 light, because and the only reason I bought it is because how the shotgun is set up and how it's layout and how the charging handle is on it and everything. It's just that light specifically worked for that shotgun, and there's no other light that I can figure out to mount where it works for me. There's no Surefire, there's no Streamlight, there's no Cloud Defensive, there's no mod light that has the angle and the grip that I need. And like I said, I don't want to turn this into like a light review or whatever, but I did purchase a cheap light for my shotgun because, one, I'm not going to be using it all the time. Two, if I actually need a weapon for home defense, self-defense, the shotgun is the last thing that I'm grabbing. I'm going to grab one of my pistols, I'm going to grab my Scorpion, I'm going to grab my 300 Blackout, I'm going to grab something other than the shotgun. So the shotgun is the last gun that I'm going to be using in a self-defense, home defense situation. So I went out and I was like, I'm not gonna spend. I believe Mod Light had a light just like that cheap one that I bought, but that shit was like $600. I'm like, right? I'm not spending $600 for the shotgun. I'm not spending money on that shotgun. The shotgun was like a $300-$400 shotgun. So I'm not about to spend $300-$400 on a shotgun and then put a $500-$600 light on a shotgun that worth $200-$300. No, bruh. So I get it. So like I said, that's why it's a touchy subject, because I get it. I get why people do it, and I did that with the shotgun. I'm not putting a $400 plus light on that shotgun because I'm never going to really use it. I just have it on there in case I actually do need it. I have some form of light on there and hope to God it works. And I took it to the range and I shot it and the light works. It took the shotgun recoil, so it's working so far. Hopefully I never actually need it and my life do not have to depend on a light, but I have multiple different lights. I have multiple Surefire lights. I have no, I don't have a mod light. I have Surefire and I have cloud defensive lights, man. And I have stream lights. I have stream lights, Surefires, and cloud defense lights on my pistol. That's the first. That wasn't the first. When I first got into guns, I bought a cheap light, and anyways, I learned my lesson. But that's the second cheap light that I bought for that shotgun, because I'm like, I'm not spending $400-500 on a $300-400 shotgun, bro. I'm just not doing it. But anyways, that's one of the big mistakes that people make. Make sure if you're gonna be using a gun seriously in a duty, in a real world situation, a real life combat and duty role, man, make sure you go out and spend the cheapest I will buy for any type of duty light, for any type of real duty or combat situation. The cheapest light that I would buy, honestly, would be stream lights. And I'm not saying stream lights are cheap. I'm just saying the least expensive light that I would spend would be a stream light. You know, then you get into your mod lights, Surefires, cloud defensive, stuff like that. But stream light is the absolute cheapest that I would spend for a light in any type of duty or any type of real self-defense role where my life might depend on this. Stream light is the absolute minimum that I'm going for a weapon mounted light. So don't make that mistake, man. If you're carrying a gun for duty, law enforcement, real life, self-defense, personal defense situation, don't cheap out on the light, man. Just don't do it. All right, the number 4 thing that I see a lot of people do, a mistake that I see people do when it comes to, especially mostly rifles. I'm talking about rifles in this situation. One of the 4 biggest mistake that I see people do is they have their weapon mounted lights or lasers mounted in the wrong spot for the task and the purpose of what they're using a rifle for. And that's like a whole different rabbit hole that I'm not trying to crawl into. But understand that just because you see homeboy just because you see homeboy online, you know, the tactical guy online have his lights set up a certain way, that don't mean that it's the correct way for your situation, because it might be correct for his situation and why he have his rifle set up the way he does, why he got his light set up the way he does, you know. But just because he have his rifle set up that way and he believed that this is how God intended for you to have your weapon mounted light or your laser set up, just because he believed that doesn't mean that it's right for you. When you set up a rifle and you're setting up weapon mounted lights and lasers and your pressure pads or whatever, make sure you set it up to work for you. Make sure you set it up that it's going to work for the purpose and the task that it's for. So if you have your weapon mounted light mounted on the right side of the gun and you have your pressure pad on the bottom and you can't hold it and you can't really press that button comfortably, if you have to shift your hands to activate that pressure pad, or you got to shift your hands to activate that light, then it's not mounted in the right position. So you have to set up your rifles. Just because, like I said, you see people set their stuff up and it works for them, it works for them. But that don't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. So when you set up your rifle, you need to mount the light, and you need to check if you're going to be using the button on the light to activate the light, then you need to make sure that your support hand, that the light is in the position where your support hand can activate that light without having to remove your support hand. If you have to remove your support hand to activate the light to put your support hand back, just your light is mounted wrong. If you got a pressure pad that you have to move your hand, or you have to adjust your natural shooting hand, your position for the pressure pad, then the pressure pad is in the wrong spot. You're shooting your support hand when you're actively shooting, you need to be able to activate the pressure pad or the light without having to remove your grip. So if your light isn't set up in a way where you just move your thumb and press that button, push that button, or if your pressure pad isn't in a way where you just move your thumb and press that button, then it's set up wrong. That's the number 4 mistake that I see people make when they're setting up their rifles, is they have their lights, their pressure pads, their lasers, they're just mounted wrong. And like I said, there's no standard way, there's no standard right way, there's no way this is the way, this is the correct way. There's no correct way and there's no wrong way. So I know that's kind of like a contradictory statement, but it is a wrong way if it doesn't work for you. So if you set up your light on the left side and your pressure pads on if you set up your light on the right side and your pressure pads on the left side, and you got to change your grip it's wrong. If you have your light on the left side and your pressure pad on the right side and you got to change your grip to activate that light, it's wrong. If you have to change your grip in any way to actuate your light or your lasers, it's set up wrong. So yes, there is no wrong way, there is no right way, but if you have to move your hand and adjust your hand and lose your grip to work any of the functions, it's set up wrong. Set it up where it works, where you don't have to lose your grip. You just move your thumb a certain way, push forward, bring it over top, whatever. Your thumb should be the only thing moving when you got to activate your light. So if you got to change your grip to turn your light on, it's set up wrong. Just trust me on this, all right? Trust me. All right, so the fifth mistake, the biggest mistake, the fifth and final biggest mistake that people make when they purchase a firearm is they spend money. They spend a lot of money on accessories and, you know, parts, and they kit it out, and they spend all this money to Gucci-fy their rifle, their shotgun, their pistols, or whatever it is you're shooting. They spend all this money on accessories and they don't go out and shoot. So they have these guns all pimped out and Gucci out, but they never shoot them. They might just take it to the range once or twice to zero it, you know what I'm saying, to show it. They might take it out to the range a couple times to shoot with their buddies, but they don't really shoot and they don't really train with it. So you got all this money invested into this rifle, this pistol, and you never shoot it. But then you expect in a life or death situation, a real world situation where your life is dependent on this thing right now, you just expect it to match. You just think you're gonna just be Lucas from T-Rex Arms shooting this gun. All of a sudden, you never shoot it before, you never train with it, you never take it out the safe, you never do anything with it. You spend all this money on this gun and you never shoot it, and you think you're gonna be a damn sharpshooter. That's the fifth mistake, the fifth biggest mistake I see people make when it comes to the firearms world, man, is to spend all this money in accessories, to spend all this money in Gucci gear, looking all cool, all this tack equipment, all this tack gear, but then they never go out and shoot. They never go out and train, man. That's the fifth mistake that you do. Invest in training, invest in ammunition, go out, train and shoot. And you don't have to spend money and go to formal classes. Just invest the money in the ammo, find a range to let you do whatever you can do, whether it's an indoor range or outdoor range. Go out and there's a bunch of little drills that you can set up to shoot. You don't have to shoot 1,000 rounds to get a good training day. You can shoot 50, a box of 50. You can shoot a box of 100 rounds and get some good training in with that amount of ammo, man. Go out, train, shoot, man. Invest money into the ammo. Go out, buy you some ammunition, find your range, like I said, whether it's indoor, outdoor range, and do some training, man. You can use 50 rounds to get some good training. You can use 100 rounds to get some good training. 150, 200 rounds, that's all you need. You don't need no more than 200 rounds to get some good quality training in on the range, man. You don't have to go out and go to formal classes. Yes, I recommend you go out and you go to formal shooting classes, formal rifle, pistol classes, and you go out and learn and shoot, because there's always stuff that you can learn. I've been shooting for over 20 something years, and I still learn whenever I go to a class, a formal class, whether it's for a department shooting, whether it's a formal class or whatever type of training I go to. I don't never say that I know how to shoot. I just show up and I'm just like, you know, people usually see my gear and they're like, okay, either he's just one of them fanboys that buys gears, you know, just to look cool. But when they see me actually shoot, then they're like, hey, like, you know, what do you do? Like, you know how to shoot a little bit, like, you know what I'm saying? So always go out and learn. Always understand that you're going to learn. It's always an evolving. Everything is always evolving. My gear is always evolving. The guns is always evolving. Like, my holsters are always evolving. So it's never set. It's not, like I said, there's no one correct way of doing something. Everything is always evolving. Your gear is going to evolve, your guns are going to evolve, and your training is going to evolve. So always understand that there's always something to learn. Just because you could be the best, fastest shooter wherever your city, county, town is, you might be the best of the best, but understand there's probably somebody that's better than you somewhere else, and you can learn from this person. And just like there's somebody probably better than that person, and you can learn from that person. So always have an open mind when it comes to firearms. Always understand that there's a lot to learn. I still learn every time I go to the range. I try to do something. I'm like, okay, today I'm going to work on this. I'm going to try to get better. So I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying to get faster. I'm always trying to be smoother and cleaner with everything that I do. So always understand that there's always room to grow. There's always room to learn. Now, let's double back to this Amazon purchasing stuff that I was talking about. I know a lot of people say, oh, that's a cheap Amazon optics. Oh, that's a cheap Amazon light. Look, man, you can get decent lights. You can get quality, reputable lights from Amazon. And what I mean by that, I mean you can get Surefire lights, you can get Stream lights, you can get mod lights. I don't think I've noticed. I don't think I've seen a cloud defensive on Amazon, but you can get aim points, you know, EOTechs. You know, you can get all these lights, red dots. You can get all these Gucci accessories from Amazon. You might get them for a little bit of discount price. If something is too affordable to be realistic, it's probably not good. Meaning, if it's too good to be true, then it's probably too good to be true, and it's not. Meaning, what I mean by that is that apparently people buy and sell fake red dots, weapon mounted lights from Amazon. I'm guessing. And my thing about that is that yes, there might be fakes and cheap knockoff lights, red dots out there. I don't know. I've never experienced that situation from Amazon. But what I tell people is that if you're going to spend $600-700 or if you're going to spend any amount of money on any gear on Amazon, make sure that it's from a reputable dealer. I only buy from actual dealers on Amazon, meaning I either buy directly from Streamlight, because every company should have Amazon store. Every company should have an Amazon store. EOTech should have an Amazon store. When you click on it, it says EOTech, and they have all the EOTech products, and it's a legit EOTech Amazon site that you can buy off of Amazon. Same thing with Streamlight. Every company should have a legit store, an Amazon store. That's where if I do buy red dots or lights or anything, I buy from those Amazon stores. And if it's not in stock in the Amazon store, then there's authorized dealers on Amazon to have Amazon stores. So you have to kind of do your research. It's a little bit of research. It's not going to take all day. It might take you, 5, 10, 15 minutes just to do a little bit of research to make sure this is an actual real store that has a real brick and mortar store, and they have an Amazon store. Or even if it's just an online store, do some research and make sure that this person is legit. Make sure this store is legit before you spend $500-600 on an EOTech off of Amazon. Like I said, if I'm spending over $200 on anything on Amazon, I'm trying to find a legit company store. So if I'm going to buy, let's say, a Trijicon red dot from Amazon, I'm going to go to the actual Trijicon Amazon store, and I'm going to purchase it from there. It might be a little bit more expensive somewhere else because there's going to be other sellers selling the same thing on Amazon. So if you see a Trijicon red dot for, like, let's say $600 on Amazon, you go to the actual Trijicon Amazon store, they got it for $620, but then it's going to show you, well, you can get the same product from these other people selling the same thing, but it's $200. Red flag right away, right off the top. That's a red flag. If you have a Trijicon red dot that's brand new, whatever model or whatever, and you go to the Trijicon Amazon store, and they got it for $620, and you see other sellers selling it for $200, $300, $100 or $150, it's probably most likely going to be a fake or a knockoff, man. So be smart when you're purchasing from Amazon. People like to say, oh, they're cheap, you buying stuff. Oh, you're stupid if you buying stuff off of Amazon. It's probably fake if you got it off of Amazon. That's not true, man. And if you happen to spend that money on a red dot or a flashlight that's supposed to be whatever big company, and it turns out to be a knockoff, man, you're gonna get your money back, man. Just file a claim. Amazon's gonna do whatever investigation to do, and you're gonna get your refund, man. So I wouldn't stress out about it too much, but I would just say try to avoid getting scammed on Amazon by just using common sense. If you know an optic is going for $800 in the stores, and you go to the Amazon, you go to that company's Amazon store, and they got it for $800, and it's on sale for $750, but then you see other people selling similar product, and it's like $200, $300, and it just seems too good to be true. It probably is, man. So don't fall for that stuff, man. But anyways, man, I'm not going to sit here and continue talking and rattle off, man, but those are the 5 mistakes that people make when purchasing a firearm or purchasing firearm accessories. Those are the 5 mistakes that people make, from beginners to people who've been shooting for years. Everybody make these mistakes. I made a few of those mistakes along the years, and I learned from them, and that's why I'm sitting there trying to tell you, to try to give you the heads up. Don't make those same mistakes that a lot of us made, because a lot of us who are advanced and we are where we are now, we made a lot of those same mistakes that people are making right now. So it's not new. If you make a mistake, purchased the wrong thing, hey, just dust yourself off, learn from it, and move forward and know, okay, I made that mistake, I learned from it, I'm not gonna make that mistake again. So you know better. So that's what this video is about, is just to try to give you a heads up, man. Don't make the mistakes, man, because like they always say, buy once, cry once. And when you spend $100 on something because you try to save money because it's normally $300 and you bought a cheap version for $100, you buy it, use it, you realize it sucks, it doesn't work, and then you end up buying either another cheap version of whatever you want to get for, let's say $120, and now you got it, it doesn't work, then you have to end up buying the actual real thing. You already wasted $200-300. You might as well just saved up and got the real deal or the better reputable company in the first place. So hey man, I'm not gonna drag this out anymore, man. Just don't make those mistakes. That's what this video is about. It's trying to help prevent you from making those mistakes. But anyways, man, it's your boy, Stats Aren't Silly, man. Hey, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys turn on the bell notifications so you guys get notified every time we drop another banging video, man. But until next episode, man, remember, always be greater than you were yesterday. We live to train because we train to live. Go out, learn how to shoot, learn how to protect yourself, learn how to defend yourself, because you are your own first responder. Because in that very moment you're being robbed, some criminal's trying to victimize you, and you don't want to be a victim. The police is not going to be there that very second this criminal is trying to victimize you. So you got to go out, learn how to protect yourself, learn how to defend yourself, learn how to protect your family and defend your family, man, because you or your own first responder. Until next episode, man, it's your boy, Stats Aren't Silly. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.